wanna hook up, she don't wanna hook up, children just go.
Don't be nervous. Okay, so if you had to like describe like what the hookup culture is at Brookline High to someone, what would you say it is?
I mean, I think definitely isn't. I think there is a hookup culture, but I could never describe it to my mom. She'd like not get it. It'll be like, so like, I mean, she doesn't like this whole idea of, you know, sexual interactions anyways. But it's like, so you just, yeah, it's like a one-time thing. Kind of like a one-night stand, except, I mean, it could go farther, I guess. And it's kind of awkward next day.
I don't know about the context of Brookline High School, but I think in the context of teenagers, hooking up can range from, like, kissing to sex. And I think there's a sense of, like, non-attachment. Like, oh, I hooked up with him or her, and it's a one-shot, done deal. No commitment, no follow-up necessary.
People meet at parties, and it's like 80% when people are drunk.
It's pretty much you're not responsible for your actions if you're drunk.
And I was just discussing this with someone the other day, like if someone was to be like, just say to someone completely sober, like in school, like, do you want to go hook up? That would just be weird, like that's very unheard of. But if you invite them to a party with the obvious intention of hooking up with them, that's totally normal.
I'm going to assume you're talking about students. Interesting.
Unless you have insights
there are
on
staff members who are married, you know, so there must be a hookup culture among teachers, but I don't think it's very prevalent. Most of us are just married. Anyways, students. My sense is that the adults in the building do not even have a good... I don't think I can imagine just how much is going on. So I'll say what I think it is, and then I will tell you that it's probably 3 times as worse as whatever it is I'm saying.
Okay.
That's my sense of how this might be. I think that Brookline hookup culture is that kids do hook up without like dating. I don't think there's a dating culture at Brookline High. I think there are some couples who you see who kind of like have been couples for the past 3 years. But I think it's very unusual to see 2 kids like holding hands down the hall, which I think was much more common in my high school at least. And so I think that more, I don't know, my impression of it is that like kids hook up over the weekend and then like it could be a one-time thing, it's no big deal, and then I think probably is a big deal, but like neither of the parties want to say it's a big deal. And that they just kind of move on to the next person.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like super widespread to me, I guess. I would say that, I don't know, I think people like to think that there is a hookup culture. I don't know, I think people like to think that high school like has a lot of like, I don't know, like hardcore aspects to it that it like usually doesn't really have. So I don't know, I would say the hookup culture is just some people who make out with each other when they feel like it, when the mood strikes them. I don't know. I mean, like, I think like people hook up with each other a lot, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's part of like a hookup culture.
And do you think it's pretty common, widespread? Like people seem to have differing opinions on like exactly how much of the high school participates in the hookup culture.
I don't know.
I'd say it's not actually a huge amount. Like, big, but not a majority.
Not a majority?
Not a majority. Would you say it's a majority?
I have no way of knowing. I couldn't even.
I want to say 60%.
It's probably a small percentage. Maybe like 30 to 40.
I mean, I definitely think it varies between the grades. And, I don't know, maybe like 55.
I either want to say 40 or 60, which are 2 very different numbers.
Okay.
They're safe numbers. Yeah, let's say 60. In the entire school, 60% of kids have participated in a hookup culture.
What do you think? Do you think that like teenagers here have the same, like, is there a general consensus about ideas about love? Like what love is and what people are actually looking for?
I think
when you're young, you kind of look at your parents, and then you have like childhood crush and stuff, and then I think it kind of leads to like marrying, like because your parents are married and stuff. Yeah, weird like fantasies and stuff, but then when you get like to like middle school, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, then you kind of realize people are going out for like a month or 2 months and then just break up and then be friends and then go out with someone else the next month, and it just doesn't become as serious as you thought it was. And I think in high school, then that either that backtracks or it kind of goes forward. Like people think of love as a lesser thing, then some people like actually found their person and then they think it's really important. I guess it really depends on people.
I think everyone realizes the finality of like high school romances.
And I think like humans do like to settle down. There's something really comforting about consistency.
I think there's like a pretty big range. I mean, they're always going to be like those freshmen who like are dating with that senior and they think that they're completely in love after like a week and a half. And then like maybe the freshman thinks that and the senior doesn't, or even vice versa, I don't know. But then there's also the people who don't really believe that in high school you can be like that serious with someone because they see like in a couple years they're going to be going other ways, possibly going to college in different places. And, like even if they do go to college together, they might know that that's not going to last forever. And then there are people that do think it'll last forever and then end up getting hurt.
No.
There's no way there's a consensus. How could there be a consensus? There's no consensus in the world about love. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not even sure I don't even know what the proposal of the definition of it would be, so I can't imagine that there's a consensus. There's no way.
And do you think that that'll actually affect the like long-term relationships of like teenagers later in life? Because at least my impression is that, you know, the majority of people still want to, you know, like get serious eventually and get married or whatever. But do you think that'll be different for our generation?
I don't know if it'll be different, but I wonder what the regret level will be. In terms of like, I don't know, did I like lose something too early? Like, am I now psychologically altered because of that? Do I carry more baggage now? I think probably when your generation finds itself in its like 30s and 40s, they might ask some of
I'm not sure, because I mean, the generation before us, marriages kind of aren't going that well either. There's like a 50% divorce rate, and their hookup culture was less amplified. So I'm sure it could hurt. It could get worse, I guess. Like there could be even more divorce, but I definitely think there might be a chance that it might be better just to be more open about it.
I think that if you grow up in a culture of, and I'm not promoting like kids getting into like couples and like dating or whatever, but I definitely think that up until, if you never put yourself in a committed relationship, then you never learn to compromise, and you never have to compromise because you get to just leave whatever, you know, you don't have, that's what committed relationships are all about. Like people think it's all about like love and happiness and stuff. It's not. It's about like giving up parts of yourself so that you can be a team to do something together. And even in a high school relationship where, you know, the drama of like the fighting, that teaches you that like, you know, a committed relationship, that's what it's about. Like to be committed is a lot of complicated things. And so I think that it certainly would probably impact somebody definitely in their college and in their 20s when you're still dating. I think it becomes really difficult if you've never practiced it. It's just like anything else, like practicing to write essays. Like if you don't ever practice a committed relationship, then when you get in a committed relationship, I would imagine it becomes difficult, like, you know, actually finding compromise and making it work.
I think it definitely depends on the person. I can think of like an example of one person that just wants a physical commitment, but like I said, it's like an insecurity. So I think once they get past those stages, hopefully they mature enough, and through college or any other, you know, period of time, they'll look for a better relationship because they're choosing that partner to hook up with, and the qualities within the partner are what they like. They wouldn't just choose somebody random.
Also, there's a bell curve to everything with age, like pooping your pants and acting like a child.
Yeah, that was rad urine.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so drunk.
I'm trying to be highly
Eloquent.
art and eculate.
Yeah.
And if you were like got your arm around this hot biddy and you're all like in up in her ear, like
Yeah, I love that drunk ear kissing. That's the best.
Well, have you ever saw VHS Fest? I am the most eligible bachelor at VHS.
Like
there were a lot of people that night were kind of hurt that they weren't getting food. Like,
Well, sort of that they what, they outsourced?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we searched for so long for
No, I can
the
with that.
poo names, and then just get sent in. Yeah.
I was number 1 on VHS Fest before it got shut down. I was number 1 on VHS Fest before it got shut down.
Have you ever been with a girl?